power for 250,000 people in and around Cleveland for 3 days at least. Sandy's having a very real local impact on Ohio residents' lives. But Sandy's march through Ohio also has a national impact because Ohio, of course, is the most crucial of all the swing states. Ohio, for example, is big on early voting. They camp out for it there. As Sandy approached, Ohio counties reported even heavier than usual early voting, with people rushing to cast their ballots ahead of the storm. Lots of things are amazing about Ohio's politics, but frankly, what I find most amazing in Ohio this year is the way the Romney campaign is choosing to close out their campaign there. Remember when Mr. Romney campaigned on that flat-out lie that President Obama was getting rid of the work requirement for welfare, even though President Obama did no such thing? Well, now Mr. Romney is back with a new ad in Ohio with that same old lie about welfare. They brought it back for the end of the campaign. Romney campaign sent Senator Norm Coleman from Minnesota to Ohio to tell voters there that Mitt Romney had no intention of overturning Roe v. Wade. Even though Mitt Romney himself says he would do everything he could to overturn Roe v. Wade, he says if that happened, he'd be delighted to sign a bill banning all abortion at the federal level. Then last week in Ohio, Mr. Romney made a mistake, an out-and-out gaffe.
I saw a story today that one of the great manufacturers in this state, Jeep, now owned by the Italians, is thinking of moving all production to China.
Not true. Totally false. Jeep is not doing that. The day Mitt Romney told that made-up horror story to Ohio voters, Chrysler had already announced that actually they were expanding it in Ohio and in Michigan. They weren't pulling out. Mitt Romney responded to the instant fact-checking, not by taking it back, but by turning that lie into a new ad for Ohio. And then he bought extra airtime for it in Toledo, where Ohio workers make Jeeps, and where being told falsely that your job's being shipped to China might be personally terrifying news. Chrysler tried again to set Mr. Romney straight on this, saying, quote, Jeep production will not be moved from the United States to China. Did Mr. Romney take it back? No. He turned it into another ad, a radio ad, again for Ohio. And he expanded it to say the entire auto bailout has been a huge failure. That drew another car company into the fact check, GM, which had been saved, of course, by the auto bailout. A GM spokesman telling the press, quote, we've clearly entered some parallel universe. Also from GM, he said, at this stage, we're looking at Hubble telescope-linked distances between campaign ads and reality. But here